Hey, faithful few, and welcome back to DMS Adventures.
Well, we're finally big enough to get some free stuff. Well, it's not entirely free, of course. We are putting our time and effort into making an unbiased review. I've never actually been really sure that I wanted to do these reviews where companies send you products. I like to make sure that there's absolutely no room for bias in any of my reviews. So typically, I'm purchasing things myself. Now, out of the few companies that have sent us things so far, I've actually never really been interested in any of them, so it's been pretty easy up to this point. But this time, a company called SabotHeat actually reached out to us about some heated gloves. So even though SabotHeat sent us these gloves for free, I did make sure in my response email to tell them that I'm going to do an honest review. If I like them, I say I like them. If there's something wrong with them, I'm going to point it out. So what we're going to do for ye faithful few here is we're going to do an unboxing, show you what the gloves look like. And then, of course, in DMS fashion, we are going to put these gloves to the test. Unfortunately, it is an unseasonably warm day today, like in the 70s. So trying out some heated gloves, I'm not really going to be able to tell how well they perform in the cold, but I have an idea. I have got these Govee thermometer hydrometers that tell you what the temperature is and what the relative humidity is. I typically use these in order to tell me how good the tent is holding in heat, so I'll put one outside and leave one in the tent. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put one inside one glove and stick it in the refrigerator at about 32 degrees. Then we're going to take the other one, put it in the other glove, and stick it in the freezer at 0 degrees. That way, we'll be able to keep track of not only the temperature inside the gloves, but also how long the battery lasts. Sound good? All right, let's get to the unboxing. So here's the box. It comes in with lots of information on it, which we will go over. Here we go. We got, supposedly, we heat up in 3 seconds. We have two 3000 milliamp hour lithium ion batteries, uniform heating of the whole space, some goat skin on the covering, and a splash proof design. Here's all the information inside the box: battery, splash proof, heating, leather, and they're designed, which is good, because undesigned things don't usually work well. And all the multiple uses you have with these gloves. With some wonderful geese honking in the background, let us begin to unpackage the gloves. Charging cable. You are able to charge both at the same time, which is good. However, one thing about these is they are not USB rechargeable. You're going to have to plug it into a wall somewhere. Got a cinch mesh bag here, and oh, here are the gloves. A little bit of heft to them. There is the user manual with lots of very useful information, I'm sure. All right, so let's see how the fit is. We've got a wrist wrap right here to keep it tight around your wrist, and then a cinch around the forearm here to help keep that heat in. Right here is a zipper for the battery compartment. And there is the battery. And we have not charged these up yet, so we'll do that before we do any actual testing, of course. Here is the battery, and here's the plug. So you just stick that in there, and then get her back into the pocket. Zip it back up, and there you go. All right, let's see how the fit is. Now, I gave them my measurements, so it doesn't fit, it's on me. So you can really cinch that good and tight. Yes, nice. Around the wrist, and then pull this around your forearm. Can you do it with one hand? Kinda. You need to be able to do it with one hand because, you know, your other hand's kind of in use. So that cinches up pretty good around the forearm, especially if you've got a coat or something on, and it's nice and tight around the wrist. So here is the goat skin covering, they say it is, and supposedly this is tactile and will work on your smartphone or something. So let's try that out. All right, so let's try and flip the camera around. It worked. You had to press it a little bit, press on it to get your finger to actually touch through there, but it did flip the camera around. Try it back again. Yeah, actually can use that. And it is the only one that has that particular covering on it, so just your pointer finger. There are 5 layers to the gloves. And just want to show real quick, this is the power button. Click and hold. Red is the top temperature, which is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The beautiful purple there is 131 degrees. Green is 121 degrees. And this white, light bluish color is 113 degrees. Hold it, long press to turn it off. I don't know what to do with my hands. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. There's those 3,000 milliamp hour batteries in each glove. We're gonna charge those up, and then this is the test that we're gonna do. Shush. So as I mentioned, we're gonna have one glove in a 30-degree refrigerator and the other glove in a 0-degree freezer, just to see how they do in the actual cold weather when you'd be using them. We're gonna put those Govee thermometers in each glove, cinch it up nice and tight to keep any of the heat that's in there. And then I'm gonna run that at all 4 temperatures and see what the temperature inside the glove gets to and how long the battery lasts. And then I'll report that at the end here. Now I'm starting to run out of daylight. This test is gonna go over probably the next couple days. So we'll see ya when we have the data. All right, well, we have collected all of our data, and let me give you the short version first. The short version is they're pretty good gloves and they actually overperformed. Now, if you're into a little more data, I have room over here, once we're talking about Mr. Moves, to where I can show off some graphs right here for some of the info that we managed to gather together. So the slightly longer version of the data is that for the glove that got put into the refrigerator at about 32 degrees, on its highest setting, the temperature it reached was about 110 degrees, and it lasted for about 5 hours and 20 minutes. Now that overperformed the stated duration by about 2 hours. Then at the lowest heat setting, it reached a temperature inside the glove of about 73 degrees, and that lasted for 7 hours and 29 minutes. That's about 2.5 hours longer than the stated duration. Now, if you really find yourself in some subarctic temperatures, the glove that went into the freezer at 0 degrees, that performed pretty well also. The highest temperature that it reached was 114 degrees inside the glove, and that lasted for 3 hours and 29 minutes, which again, it's about 2 hours longer than the stated duration. Then for the lowest temperature setting, it kept it at a room temperature of about 73 degrees, and it lasted for about 4 hours and 50 minutes, so just shy of 5 hours. Now for the data of the true statistic nerds like me that really like to get into the weeds of the data. Right here is the graph that the Govee thermometer produces. And you can see here in the graph where each test took place. You have the heat up shown there, then it lasts for 4 or 5 hours, whatever the data showed. And then you can tell when the battery died as it just plummets and goes into to match the temperature of either the freezer or the refrigerator. Then there's the time where we were charging up the battery. Then we moved on to the next test that dropped the temperature. As you can see, the temperature kind of goes down at each test as we went from the highest heat level to the lowest heat level. One other thing I wanted to mention was once your battery goes dead and the heat leaves the gloves, you want to know how good of an insulative glove it is. Well, I tested that real quick right at the beginning while the batteries were charging. So the Govee thermometers took 30 minutes to adjust to the temperature. They went from 72 room temperature down to the 32 in the refrigerator and down to 0 in the freezer. So that took 30 minutes. Now when I put them into the glove without any heaters on and I stuck them in, instead of 30 minutes to get down to the 32 degrees inside the glove, it took 83 minutes. So you had about 50 minutes of insulation before your hands would start getting cold. Then in the freezer, going from 70 degrees to 0 degrees, that took an additional about hour and a half. So just as far as being gloves go, they perform pretty well. So time will tell how well these batteries last, how long they're able to produce that kind of heat consistently. But at least initially, the gloves overperform their stated specs. So hey, if you guys have any questions for me on any of the other data that I took but didn't present because it would take way too long, just leave a comment down below, ask me a question, and I will get you a response as quickly as I can. So for Rugged Mountain Mr., Rugged Mountain Dad, we want to thank SabotHeat for sending us these gloves to check out. I do like them. Hopefully we'll get to use them a fair amount this winter and see how well they perform in daily use. So we want to thank y'all so much for watching, and you all have a great day.